But man, so I was going through some clips yesterday or earlier today from what I did last night when I was talking about the process. And I was like,
Mhm.
you know what? I remember talking about the process on our first pod. And I was looking to see if I put out that Philly should have drafted Jason Tatum instead of Markel Fultz because I know I felt that. I know that I said it, but I'm like, do I have that on wax somewhere? Because people are going to say that I'm Monday morning quarterbacking it, but I'm like, no, I saw what Tatum was, and I'm like, bro, he's going to step into the NBA like day one and be able to score you 20 points per game. That's what Philly needed. They needed somebody who could score from the perimeter, who was reliable. And I'm like, this is the guy. And in that, I did find though that I said the process was over back in 2017. Although it did peak a little bit when you all acquired Tobias and Jimmy, and Kawhi hit that crazy shot that would never ever go in again. And you probably would have got to the finals and won a championship that year with the injuries that Golden State had. If those injuries still happen, obviously you can't predict that. Different team, different games. But nonetheless,
Maybe, maybe our coaching still was suspect, but continue.
suspect is nice.
It's
But
polite.
anyways, I get to be right because now we're here. It's 2021, and the 5 seed Hawks put out the 1 seed Philadelphia 76ers in 7 games, won what, 3 games in Philadelphia, which is
Yeah,
absolutely crazy with y'all's fan
yeah.
base. And
And our home record. We had a great home record also.
y'all did, and y'all have historically had great home records and terrible away records, road records, because people say the team was immature and they couldn't handle themselves on the road. Those are other people's words, not mine. I don't cover the team. So a
Yeah,
few
yeah.
days removed, man. How do you feel?
Honestly, I wouldn't have been able to do this podcast up until today. I was like, I want to snap on here. It was, the feeling when a promising season ends for any sports fan is very depressing. I mean, you feel sick to your stomach, especially when there's more expectations. Well, I think you said it today, maybe, or maybe I saw it on Twitter, but it was like I would have been fine losing to Brooklyn or Milwaukee in the next round. It would have sucked, but I would have been like, all right, that may at least makes kind of sense. This one sucks, man. Losing one game earlier than we should have. Um, a couple things stand out. One, I'll go positive, and then I'll go into a fan rant probably. Positive is Daryl Morey's at the head of the show, and I trust him to make moves and make some good moves. He made some moves before the season that kind of put us, obviously, at least in the regular season, better than we've been in years past. Getting Seth Curry, who low key was probably our best postseason player. This man really earned his last name, I think. Who knows what we'll do with Danny Green, but he drafted Tyrese Maxey. I don't know how much of us you watch, but that kid's going to be good. He might start next year. I mean, that might be our answer at point guard or in the clutch in the future. Um, and then so I have to ask you this, at least with Game 7, did you watch the entirety of Game 7, Hawks
Yes,
Sixers?
yes, I watched
What
entire.
did you what did you think of the refereeing in the first 3 quarters?
I thought they were a bit too much involved, and I expected them to be involved towards you all. I was like,
Hmm.
Philly get the advantage. Like, we don't want an Atlanta, Milwaukee, Eastern Conference Finals. I'm not saying
Hmm.
that the league is rigged, but I understand that it's a TV show and
Right.
better
It's
ratings
entertainment.
is better money, you know? So I'm like, Embiid's gonna live off the foul line. And then I go, oh, Trey's gonna live off the foul line too. Like, they're gonna call a lot of bullshit today.
Hmm.
And for me, it took away from the flow of the game. Like, I know you didn't catch any of game one today, but they let him play. Trey, I think he had 11, maybe 13 free throws. Most of those came at the end, up one when Milwaukee was intentionally fouling. Like,
Okay.
they really let him play today. And I was expecting it to be a tight whistle, but I did not expect the whistle to be as tight to help to benefit Atlanta and Trey Young.
Okay. And I guess obviously I'm biased, but generally, I think the officiating has been too involved. I like the Brooklyn Milwaukee series because they let him play, especially PJ Tucker, KD.
Yeah.
And I like KD because he doesn't exaggerate flopping like a lot of our league superstars. But I like that series because the refs didn't meddle too much. I thought, especially from a Sixers point of view, I thought especially in the second and third quarters, I think there was like 6 or 7 bad calls that went against us that really were rough. I think there was a flagrant on Dwight Howard that was called that I don't think it was even a regular foul. I think that was a reputation foul, which I guess he's there into a point. But it was
But
just unfortunate.
Dwight does so much, and if Dwight's
Yeah.
not on your team, you absolutely hate him. Then when
Oh
he's
yeah.
on your team, you tolerate him, and sometimes you like the stuff that he does because it works until he gets caught.
Well, and it's unfortunate because one of the big things after that, the Greg Monroe debacle of 2017, where like we took Embiid off the floor in that Toronto series, and we just had no backup for him. We had Greg Monroe, which who knows where he's at this point, and maybe he's playing in Shanghai or something. But like we thought that this year going in that we'd have Dwight Howard, he'd be a great backup for Embiid, and throw out the regular season he was. And then in this series, he got toasted. Whether he was either hacking somebody to death or he was dropping rebounds out of bounds. But that was unfortunate. It was weird though. So I don't know how many he got, but Embiid, they just weren't giving him the contact they were giving him all year. They were allowed to hack Embiid, where I thought that they weren't. The Sixers at least weren't allowed to hack Trae Young. But I'll get away from my ref whining because no one wants to hear that.
But I get that. And again, I'm coming from a totally different bias, but
Right.
it's the size thing. And I was telling my friends, like I went to game 6.
It's a strength thing too.
Yes.
I think the NBA rewards weakness a little bit, but continue.
Joel Embiid is by far the largest human being I've ever seen up close. Like, I looked at him next to Dwight Howard, and I go, you are much larger than Dwight Howard, who is a really big guy. I'm like,
Right. Dwight's wide. Dwight
Yeah.
has like wide shoulders, but yeah.
I'm like, you are much larger than Clint Capella. Like it's not even close. So because of that, it's kind of the Shaq effect, the LeBron effect. Oh, you're supposed to absorb this contact and get through it because of your size, your strength. And I mean, he has the footwork to do it. He has the skill set to overcome a lot of that stuff. And not that it's fair.
Well, it was weird though, because throughout the whole year he was getting these. And then especially like you're saying, like the body contact, at least I get some of that. But like he was getting his wrists, like when you get your wrists slapped and shit, that's unfortunate. The one thing I will say from a Sixers point of view, is that Trae Young, you had heard all year about how I don't know, at least earlier in the year, maybe before you guys got rid of Lloyd Pierce, that like his teammates didn't like him and that maybe there was a little rift going on there. This guy, his shooting isn't his best skill. It's his passing. His passing is amazing. So I think that even when he went 5 for 23, he definitely had at least 10 assists. He created so many wide open looks against. I think the Sixers defense is probably top 3 in the NBA, and he created a lot of wide open looks. Obviously, you had some guys catch fire like Kevin Herter in that last game, or Gallinari, Gallinari was really good. He's going to earn himself some. You guys signed him for a couple-year deal because that was a good signing, I think.
I think it's a 2-year. I would have to look it up, but it's not so significant that I'm going to do it right now. But
okay, and then the backup to Capella, Okongwu, is that his name, from Chino Hills, I think originally. He was better than Capella. He was active. He was playing big. I know he's not that tall. He's probably like 6'10" at max with shoes on, but like that kid was good. So I think you guys have a lot of pieces. I don't get the John Collins type, to be completely honest. I think he had one good game, and then he talks a lot of crap, wears a t-shirt, but like he didn't really impress me too much.
He was
Lou Williams. What's up?
He was big today, like super.
Was he?
Big.
Okay.
He had a nice double. We were down 4, I believe, and he hit a nice clutch corner 3 after like 2 offensive rebounds. He does a lot of timely stuff, like the dunk on Embiid. Even though we didn't win Game 6, y'all were on a run coming out of half, and it kind of slowed down the momentum. You know, he's a timely, very high end role player who's going to get a max contract in Atlanta.
Well, so he hit a corner 3 against us that was very timely too, and I think that shot might be like what separates what the trajectory of his career will go as his distance shooting goes. Because I feel like if he can shoot the ball well enough and keep people honest, he has a lot of bounce. I don't know, his handle's not that great, and he has 0 post moves, and I think he's not very good of a defender. But like if he can shoot the long ball, I feel like it opens up your offense. It um, I feel like that's kind of where his game goes. If his shooting gets better, he can be very good. If it isn't, I feel like he won't. But it was interesting too. I don't know if you noticed this. They kept Lou Williams and Trae Young on the floor at the same time. I believe it was at the end of Game 5 uh, to seal that comeback. It was something that I never thought I'd see any coach do, and it was kind of like this is the moment where I realized Doc Rivers was being outcoached by Nate McMillan, because it was like traditionally these are two guards that they're not going to be able to stop anybody on defense. But, the playoffs, people try harder. They're going to give more effort on defense. And, Ben Simmons isn't going to exploit anyone's defense, unfortunately. But that was crazy. That was really unconventional. So I thought that was the moment where I was, crap, they have the better coach also.
You talk about coaching, and I'm gonna push back on some of your Doc criticism that we talked about privately.
Hmm.
Um, I think this playoffs, we have seen just some amazing coaching from some unlikely figures. Ty Lue has never gotten his credit for being a really good coach.
Yeah.
It's, oh, well, he had LeBron. Well, guess what? Phil had MJ, Scotty, Kobe, Shaq. Like, Popovich had Tim Duncan, David Robinson. Like, the best coaches had the best players. I said last
Yeah.
night that players and coaches are like liquor and chasers, right? Coaches are chasers, and you can have a juice is fine by itself, but nobody's
Right.
paying top dollar for juice. They're paying top dollar for a mixed drink,
The
and
whole drink.
we like some drinks by themselves, straight, neat, whatever it is. But when you
Yeah.
have that perfect combination of chaser and drink, coach and player, you get the perfect drink or the perfect team. And the adjustments that Ty Lue has made by playing his whole bench, or the established coaches like the Quinn Snyders, even the Buds, who we pick on, but Bud has been very successful, and the Doc Rivers,
Yeah.
failing to make adjustments. Like, hey, bruh, your right hook's not working. Switch it up. Now, for Doc,
Yeah.
I don't know what much he could do when your go-to guy in crunch time is Tobias Harris or maybe
Yeah.
Seth Curry, depending on the game, but usually Tobias
Yeah.
Harris. He's your guy who can get the mid-range shot, who can get to the
Yeah.
cup. And you're supposed to, despite having Embiid and Simmons, when Tobias Harris is your go-to guy in crunch time, you're supposed to go home in the second round.
Well, so that's the one thing I think Embiid improved on literally everything this year. He was amazing, and one thing I thought was so impressive was, his offense came and went, but in this playoffs, his defense was amazing. I think he guarded Trae Young on the perimeter sometimes, and
Mhm.
he did a really good job. I don't think Trae scored a point on him. But the one thing he can improve on is his clutch scoring. Joel hasn't been a very good. I don't think he's hit like a game-winning buzzer beater yet, and he's had some chances. So I think as a big man too, I think when you're not getting contact down there, it's hard to be a clutch scorer. But I think that's something he can work on hopefully this offseason, so that Tobias doesn't have to be our go-to guy. He relies on a lot of back to the basket stuff too. As for Doc's adjustments, the one unfortunate thing I wish he would have tried this more in the regular season is trying Ben Simmons at center, because Dwight Howard played awful in the second round. He was terrible against Atlanta, and I think that one way to alleviate Ben's issues also was to put him at center. So he's surrounded by shooting. It kind of minimizes his weaknesses and amplifies his strengths. And you also don't have to have Dwight's unpredictable style of play on the floor too. So I thought it was unfortunate. That was unfortunate he didn't try that. Also with our bench, Tyrese Maxey got a lot of credit towards the end of the series. And I think that you should have had him in probably a lot more. I know he's probably like 19, 20 years old, probably pretty unpredictable on the road, especially. But he's very good. George Hill was a dud of a signing, or a dud of an acquisition at the trade deadline. It was the Sixers' only big move at the deadline, and he looked like whatever he is, a 36-year-old guy out there. He looked cooked at the end of that game. So I think that was really unfortunate. That was when we were like, we should have gotten Kyle Lowry. Like that really would have been nice. So that was unfortunate. It did seem like you guys had more bullets in the gun in terms of depth. Like you guys had more guys to throw out there that could at least get their own bucket. Gallo can get his own bucket. Herder, Lou Williams, John Collins, and I know you were missing Oh, I don't think Cam Reddish is very good, but you were definitely missing Hunter a little bit. But I
I
think that
forgot
our
Cam
depth
Reddish is on
definitely
our
came into
roster.
play. What's up?
I forgot Cam Reddish is on our roster. Let's just ship him to New York so he can hang out with his boy RJ Barrett. The last playoff game I went to before this one was a long time ago because I just haven't lived in basketball cities in forever. And it
Mhm.
was a Dwight Howard Orlando game in like 2011, 2012.
His
And
prime.
right. So I was talking to this little kid next to me. He was like 16 or whatever. We're just talking throughout the game. And I'm like, bro, it's so embarrassing to see Dwight look like this because the last time I saw Dwight, he came in here and gave the Hawks like 40-20 in a playoff game. And that's what he used to be. And now he's like a
It was a
gimmick,
sweep, right? Wasn't that a sweep?
probably. I
Yeah.
mean, it was the Joe Johnson, Al Horford days, not much, not much to actually care about. It was like, oh, we're gonna get to the playoffs. We might get to the second round. We got to that one Eastern Conference Finals, but this is the best. This is the best moments in Hawks basketball since Dominique. So the best in my lifetime.
I mean, did Dominique get to a conference finals? Didn't he get to what, one?
I think maybe one. I know he had that one battle with Larry Bird and went to Game 7. But other
Okay.
than that, we've been a consistent franchise. We just haven't been good enough.
Right.
Um,
I'm just curious if this is the best season you've ever had. Like, is this might be the best one?
I think it's the one with the most hope because obviously I wasn't alive in the '80s, but do I really
Well, here
believe?
let's go back recent. So that Al Horford, what was it when you guys had 5 All-Stars in 2015? Like
Yeah, that,
so you guys got swept in the conference finals, but you didn't
yeah,
make it. And we're going back. Oh wow, okay. I mean, you gotta go back to like the 60s and 70s.
yeah. That
But
stuff
yeah,
doesn't count.
no, that's not modern basketball.
This is the most
Um,
hopeful the fan base has definitely been with the team.
First win in the conference finals in the modern basketball era. So tonight was, I think, bigger than I think I even realized, to be honest.
That's like dope but sad at the same time, man.